Dean, tell me about the Saguache Crescent.
Well, Saguache Crescent is a newspaper, weekly newspaper. Happens to be a curiosity because it is the last hot metal newspaper using Linotype, which a lot of people know about and a lot of people don't. So it's unique.
This is the old style press, right?
Right.
You actually set each letter yourself.
No, this what this did is it replaced handset type.
Okay.
Handset was one individual letter at a time, which you can imagine was very tedious. It was something that there was a lot of interest in getting it. They were already casting letters, and the Linotype cast letters in a line instead of assembling them individually. It was very difficult. You can imagine having every letter in a book able to just fall apart.
Yeah.
So they were really they were eager to do it, and a lot of people were working on it. Morgenthaler happened to invent the machine and probably put it into production, and so that they were the first, and so they had the market.
Yeah.
But there was another company, Intertype, that was pretty big, not quite as big as Morgenthaler, which made the Linotype, and even another company called the Linograph, which, interestingly enough, the Linograph didn't use molds that ran in the other two machines, so they lost out on the whole type market. The Crescent has been owned by my family since 1917. So we've passed our 100 years, and the Linotype was made in 1920, so we've passed that 100 years. So we're getting, now if I make it to 100 years, which, God, who knows? It's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to people.
Yeah. So this is like a heritage in your family, also in the town?
Well, yeah, it's, I mean, there's newspapers in towns, but they just converted to offset because it was a lot easier.
Yeah, but this has always been the Crescent since then.
The Crescent started out as the Advance, and then was the Democrat, and then was the Crescent. It was, the first two were about 4 years each. I think the guy the Democrat was cutting out part of his income down. So I don't know why. I wish I knew why it's called the Crescent, but that's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
Yeah. And you still do a weekly publication.
Yes, I publish every week. You have to publish every week.
Every week. You have to publish every week?
Yeah, because you have to be to have legal publications, you have to be a publication of record.
Got it.
And that means that you don't miss. So if something's running for 5 weeks, consecutive weeks, then you have to make those consecutive publications. And there's no, if you miss your publication, you would have to start over and publish for 52 weeks, and that's just crazy.
Yeah.
No, you have to, if you're daily, you can do it any way you want as long as you're weekly.
Yeah.
But
And what you've got is a 2-page bifold, right?
yeah, it's a kind of a modified broadsheet. It's not tabloid like a lot of the newspapers. Originally, papers were even bigger, a couple of inches bigger. They cut it down, about a column. Tabloid just gives you more, it's more flexible because it's smaller.
Yeah. And I saw at the top of the paper it says 35 cents.
Mm-hmm.
It's still 35 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a nickel when I was a kid.
Yeah. So you don't want to go.
So was a candy bar.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's, I had a letter, and the guy asked me how I made a living on 400 subscribers. Well, not on subscriptions, that's for sure. Newspapers used to be almost given away,
Yeah.
and I still kind of hold to that, just like I hold to all the old time ideas, I guess.
Yeah.
Most people give you $1.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
it's kind of funny when they 35 cents.
Yeah,
Got to find that.
yeah.
Or give you $1 and you give them change. And
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giving you change, but it's 35 cents. It said right on there.
Right.
If you don't want it, if you want it to be $1, put $1 on there.
So the town we're in, Saguache.
Saguache.
This is the town that you report on, or do you hit that valley south of here?
No, Saguache. The Saguache Crescent is basically, I print the paper. You bring me what you want in it.
Okay.
I don't have time to, and the inclination. I'm a printer, not a journalist, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
So, I don't pursue anything. I basically take what I get. We used to more service the little towns, Bonanza, Villa Grove, and Moffett, and Crestone. But times have changed. I mean, we have Facebook. We don't need a newspaper in a sense. Only Little Eagle work, and Saguache County is almost as big as Connecticut. It's 3/4 the size of Connecticut. So and this is not typical Colorado. This is private land.
Yeah.
It's not BLM. It's not government land. So all those technicalities of property, tax lists, foreclosures, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
To make a living.
Right. So a lot of people bring in articles about themselves or things that they need you to report on.
Well, just things that they're interested in. I mean, we have a couple of clubs, and they are doing something, and we have little festivals, and they need to advertise for participants, and there are just things going on, and they want people to participate and just disseminate information, which is what a newspaper really is to do.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's a lot of work and it doesn't make you much money. Why do you still keep it going?
Well, I didn't say it didn't make any money.
I didn't say much.
Well, it depends on how you use your money.
Yeah. No shade.
Benjamin Franklin said if you have a dollar and you spend $1.01, then you're not going to be happy. If you spend 99 cents, you'll be happy all your life. That's kind of. I mean, we always knew that we had to live on what we made. Mm-hmm. And my mom, a dime had her fingerprints in it by the time, and she just knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
And my dad did too. It's not, you don't make the kind of money that you make in the city, but you don't live like that.
Well, it's not about the money. I just want to know why you are still doing it.
Why I'm doing it? Because it's like falling in a river.
Yeah.
It's more trouble to get out than to stay in,
Okay.
as long as you don't drown. If I quit, I'd have to do stuff to quit. It wouldn't be just, I'm not going to do it this week.
Yeah.
And, you rest up after a week and then you want to do it again and then you're, no, not going to be able to do that. So it was what we did, and so it's what I do. And my dad died of a heart attack on the press day, and my mom and I put out the newspaper. There was no, going in the corner and crying, and, we had to work.
Wow.
And, it's not backbreaking work. We're not digging it, ditch to China or anything, but it's you become obligated, and the obligation kind of overwhelms, and to a certain point, I'd say the Crescent killed my father. We probably should have dealt with his situation, and there were just circumstances that could have changed, but they were mitigated by the fact that the paper had to come out, and it had come out. That's all we ever knew.
Yeah.
It wasn't my dad's family or anything, but he knew that you put out the newspaper.
Wow.
So my mom died on the paper day, and they said, if you want to see her, you better come. And I said, she's the first one that would understand that I have to put out the paper.
Yeah. Right.
But
That's a strong family there.
Well, there's a lot of
Yeah,
there's the ranch families and the farm families and the,
Yeah.
just all kinds of people that, you hear about them all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Spartan or anything or a Trojan. I just, the obligations come first, and then you get them done. That's how I learned to work. You know, if you got your work done, I raked for a lady when I was a little kid, and it was some church group or something like that. And she says, well, you can come back and do it next year. And I'm going like, I'm only doing this because, you know, I have to. You know, I got other yards to rake. Yeah. You know, if you don't get it done, you get it done, you get off. And so she realized that it wasn't actually kids' work, you know, which is, I don't really want to work. That's kind of my apprentice vision. Okay. So I'll get a person who doesn't want to work, and so I can do all the work and pay them too, and they can get half the money. Yeah. It sounds like a genius idea.
Yeah. Speaking of an apprentice, what do you see as the future?
I don't see a future. I mean, the future is tomorrow for me. Yeah. You know, I can't look at it any other way. I've put 43 years in as publisher. I've worked 7 days a week. For a long time, I worked till 9 o'clock every night. I've paid my dues. I don't know I shouldn't say I don't know the Crescent. I got Crescent. I owe the Crescent, but we'll just go fade away together. It's not going to happen for a while.
Would you take an apprentice if somebody came?
Not really. No. I work on by myself. I don't need. You know. Then you're obligated. Yeah. As it is, no matter what, I can walk out the door any day, any time I want, any day I want. I don't get to go too far, but I don't have obligations, and it just isn't. You just have to know the work to understand. I mean, it's just not. There is a reason why there are no other letterpress newspapers in the world. Out of the 7,000 that were in the United States, and this is the only place you could do it because there were 7,000, and so there were plenty of parts available. I mean, it's just so easy to run a newspaper with a computer. I just don't. What's the point? I mean, you know. Yeah. You know, when something comes in that's so difficult or big, you just have to work. I mean, geez, you really have to work. I've done work where I had to get up and start at 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't give me another one of those. I did one just not too long ago. I did 8 pages, and it was almost all typesetting. Wow. Yeah.
So you said,
why do I do this? No.
No, it's that you're painting a picture of like tradition, like you feel a duty to continue.
Well, you have to be doing something.
Yeah.
There is you have to work. You have to make a living. And this is basically, I was 26, this is basically it was my profession. Yeah. And I didn't want the newspaper. You had to work for your parents, and kids don't get paid. Kids, at 26, you have some ideas. Yeah. Being told you have shoes was not really the answer anymore. Yeah. I'd like a stereo system, and that's a hell of a lot more expensive than shoes. So it was what I did. Yeah. How to make a living. And I'm not burned out on it. So I have health, which is, if you're healthy, you got everything really, in a sense.
And you have an impact on the community.
Yeah, but it's not it's not earth shaking, It's, it's just a little newspaper. It's not a,
It's a little newspaper in a little town.
Well, a lot of little towns don't have their own little newspaper anymore. They don't. They have a paper that comes from some other town. Yeah. But
you're also upholding a tradition that is disappearing.
I think people like that, People, but for people here, it's just the crescent. It's just the crescent. It's oh yeah, it's just down there. Go down and take a look.
Yeah.
I don't have to go look every day.
Yeah.
It's there every time I want to see it. And they don't even look through the window. It's kind of funny, the people that stop and don't even look it through the window. And I'm going like, there's a linotype sitting in the window.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I didn't know what a linotype is, I think I'd stop and say, what the hell is that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dean.
sure.